Welcome back, friends. My name is Holly, and you're here at Home with Holly. So this has been one of those weeks where we just fit it in where we can, right? so, um, typical life, right? So I've been squeezing in little pockets of time where I could get to the garden, whether that's harvesting or drying out stuff or swapping out stuff that's curing. So we've got another one of those little pockets of time right now. So I'm going to be taking this bed and planting my fall crops in it. But I'm going to take you back with me on how I have been using those pockets of time throughout the week. So come on back with me and I'll show you how we got here. Okay, friends, so we are harvesting shallots together right here. I love shallots because they will store for 12 months in my pantry, no muss, no fuss, fresh eating. And I also love that you can plant them in the fall and then they grow through the winter. And then in the spring, early summer actually, they fall over and die, and then you harvest them and dry them and you are good to go. Okay guys, so I'm all hot and sweaty from pulling the shallots, and it was a pretty good haul. That is 2/3 of the way full wheelbarrow. I'm excited about that. And tomorrow we have a chance of really severe storms, thunder, lightning, maybe even a chance of like hail or stuff. So I want to go ahead and get the tops off the potatoes. I was going to try to harvest them tonight. But I want to be able to harvest them first thing in the morning, and I don't want to have to take the time to do cutting the tops off. So I'm going to go ahead and get those cut off right now real quick, and that way we'll be ready to harvest potatoes in the morning. Okay, so cutting the tops off of your potatoes, not a necessary thing to do, but when you are going to be harvesting a bunch of them at once, if they're already off, it just kind of makes it easier so you can get to the potato finding quicker. And then also, if you couldn't get to harvesting them right away, you can actually cut the tops off and leave them where they're growing for up to 2 weeks, and it won't hurt them at all. Okay, y'all, excuse the sweat, but got a little mini harvest on my way to wheeling the wheelbarrow back in. And it just goes to show you, plant 10% extra because bunnies. Okay, guys, so on the day that I recorded this for the potatoes, this is the next day, by the way, and when I go to record this, I do not realize that my microphone is dead. So let me walk you through what we got going on here. So one of the things that I love when I'm doing potatoes is I love harvesting from these grow bags. It makes it so much easier to just dump them out into the wheelbarrow or onto a tarp, and you see exactly what you've got. I might try doing them in a raised bed every now and then, but I really, really like this because you're not going to miss any potatoes. You're going to get them all. It's kind of lovely, and you get to just enjoy the process, and it doesn't hurt your back so much. But this year I noticed that there were some holes in the grow bags that I've been using for multiple years, and I noticed the holes, and I think that that's kind of strange because I've never had holes before. And I'm also noticing, oh my gosh, there's not as many potatoes as I thought there would be. But I kind of keep going because, you never know from year to year what you're going to get, because potatoes are growing under the ground and you can't see them. And so I kind of just keep going with it. And then I start to find a few potatoes that have some holes in them with some teeth marks. And I start thinking, that's strange. And so you'll see me every once in a while kind of turn around and look at the other grow bags that I have coming up in the line, like, are there holes in all of them? Are there just holes in some of them? I wonder what's happening. And what actually happened was that my property butts right up to a school with a soccer field, and right along the fence line there's long grass, either from my side or their side. And so what happened was a little field mouse decided to help themselves to my potatoes this year. So my harvest was cut down by about 60-70% because that mice had some good meals. The mice had some good meals. So, but what you'll see here is that I still get a pretty decent harvest, and let's talk a little bit more about seed potatoes, right? So you can buy seed potatoes from an online store that is made, and that's their main job, is doing seed potatoes. You can also get them. Oh, this is where I noticed the holes, and I realized the mistake that I should have gotten hard-sided pots, and that I will do that in the future. And the mouse ate my potatoes. But anyway, seed potatoes. So you can get them from online retailers. You can get them from TSC or your local garden center. You can get them from all those places. And those are all great places to find different varieties or special varieties. You can also get them from your grocery store as long as you get organic potatoes. So grocery store potatoes that are not organic are sprayed with this is the bag that I discovered had a hole that was touching the ground, and so some grubs got in. Ugh, grubs, but the chickens really liked them, so treat for them. So anyway, you can get them from a grocery store as long as you get organic, because grocery store potatoes are sprayed with a sprout inhibitor because they don't really want their potatoes to be growing while they're waiting for you to buy them. So if you get the organic, though, they have not been sprayed with that sprout inhibitor, so you are good to go with using those as your seed potatoes to grow. I discovered about halfway through this process that I should be shoveling the soil back into the grow bags when I was done with them, so that they're much easier in smaller amounts for me to lift into the raised beds to top off the garden beds with new soil. So this one has Kennebec potatoes in the first one, russet potatoes in the second one, and Yukon Gold in the third one. And I'm pretty happy with that haul since the mice ate most of it. So I'm going to go ahead and take these potatoes down to my basement. And my basement has a corner of the basement that is my grow room / storage room. And so in there, I can turn off the lights. It stays nice and cool. Here is the grow room. So I use those shelves to grow my seedlings and my starts. I'll walk you guys through that and take you along with me this winter when we start growing our 2024 garden. But this is also a really good place to just lay out the potatoes in a single file and let them dry completely for a few weeks. And then I will put them back in these crates and I will store them down here for several months. You can even eat them when they're sprouting. They're totally fine, but I will leave them in the cool, dry part of this basement where I can shut off the lights. And then actually underneath this table, I actually have sweet potatoes from last year. I think I'm going to pull one out and show you guys, but I actually have sweet potatoes from last year that have been staying just fine in here for almost a year. So if you have a corner of a basement or someplace that stays cool, or even a pantry in the upstairs or something, that's the perfect place to store potatoes. All right, friends, so this is the very next day. I usually get out early in the morning before my daughter gets up. Sometimes she gets up with me, and I do a little harvesting. So I'm just going to take you guys along with me. We're going to do a little bit of harvesting. You can enjoy listening to the birds and kind of come along with me for one of my mornings. Let me just interject in here, though, and just say that this is my Hori Hori, which is one of my favorite gardening tools. It's like a serrated knife and a shovel and a measuring stick. Like, it's everything all around. It's got a ruler. It's got one side that's like a flat blade and one side that's serrated. You can use it to plant stuff. You can use it to harvest stuff. You can use it to measure the distances. It is just, oh, it's so good. You guys need a Hori Hori. So as I'm taking this bed and getting it ready to plant all of our fall garden starts, the broccoli, the kale, the cabbage, you'll see me do this a lot where I will cut the top off a plant and leave its roots behind. I am picking out the weeds here because nobody needs those to regrow. and this bed had kind of gotten taken over a little bit. But when the plants are growing underneath the soil, they are, especially ones that have really deep roots, like the cabbages, the broccoli, all that kind of stuff, they're pulling up nutrients and minerals from way down deep, and they are pulling it up through the roots and feeding it to the plant on top that you're seeing grow and that we're going to harvest. And when you pull out the plant, if you pull out the plant and leave the roots behind, a lot of the minerals and nutrients are still going to go back. It's still going to be there, and they're going to go back into the soil and feed the soil, as opposed to just pulling out the whole plant. Then you kind of take all that stuff and you're going to throw it into the compost or the trash, and it just gets wasted. And so many times we talk about healthy plants, but really healthy soil is how you get healthy plants. So I tend to leave those in if I can, and just let them go right back into the soil where they came from. Okay, here's what I was talking about with being able to just lift up little amounts of soil like this. This is the leftover soil from where we grew the potatoes together and harvested them. This is so much easier than dragging out a wheelbarrow and doing all that, or we're opening up huge bags of soil to top off the bed. There's nothing wrong with this soil. It just grew some potatoes. We were going to add some fertilizer and wake this stuff back up. And you'll see some wood chips mixed in. That's just like animal bedding wood chips. And I use that as a mulch. I use it for garlic mulch, I use it for onion mulch, and I also use it for mulch on top of the bags when I'm growing potatoes and stuff. So nothing wrong with that, just getting mixed in a little bit. It'll just break down the soil and help feed the soil. So I'm not worried about that little bit of mulch, but using the grow bags for the potatoes and then being able to use it to top off the beds, so easy.
So I could have left this one in a little longer to get bigger. This was in a bed with a whole bunch of other cabbages and kohlrabi, and it was a little late, along with this twin. They're a little late, so they were a little slower, so I left them in a couple weeks longer, but it was starting to split, and once it splits, you gotta take it in because it's not gonna store as long. So I will be eating this week for sure, but I'm excited because this is cabbage number like eight or nine, which is plenty for just me and Liddy. So yeah, excited about our cabbage harvest, and the chickens are going to be really happy to get all of this. puppy chickens. Okay, hello again. So it's been a crazy week. I have been, we harvested the potatoes, we pulled the shallots, and I just put them in here and I didn't hang them up to dry. So what I'm gonna do really quick is I'm gonna put you guys on time lapse and I'm gonna pull all of the hardneck garlic that I've had curing. All of the garlic actually. I'm gonna pull all of the garlic off and I'm gonna pull it off so that I can braid it or plait it. And then I'm going to take all of the shallots and put them up there. So they're gonna switch places. It's gonna be a little loud because I've got the fan going because it is like 90 some degrees outside, which means it's like 80 something in my garage. But perfect for drying and curing and that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna put you guys on time lapse and we are going to do a little switcheroo. So normally when you'd be hanging up shallots or anything you want to dry, you want to hang them one at a time so that they get plenty of airflow through there. But these kind of dried and were growing in a group, and with the fan going on them, I'm not super worried about it. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave them hanging in the groups that they were picked in. Okay, all hung up, and they will stay here drying for a few weeks. And then once they're all completely dry, then I will either braid them or pot them and they will go in my pantry. I love shallots so much more than onions for the reason that they store for like a year. They're super easy to grow. You buy some shallots, you pick them all apart just like you do the cloves of garlic, stick them in the ground the same time that you plant your garlic, and in the fall in October for where I live in Ohio. And then in the spring, between garlic and onions. So usually garlic is ready to harvest, I don't know, about a month-ish before onions. So garlic goes first and then shallots usually die back around the same time, and once they're dead, you do the same thing. You pick them just like you do garlic and onions, let them hang to dry, and then when they're ready, you have a really good storage thing. So I like to use them for fresh eating, for like salads and stuff like that. Quick pickled shallots are really good on salads and stuff. I use them to make dressings, and honestly, anytime a recipe calls for shallots, like you can use onions. So all of my onions, I'll use fresh for as long as they'll keep, and then I will dice them up and put them in the freezer so that I can have like homegrown onions whenever I want. But the shallots, man, they will keep in my pantry for like a year. So, and then the biggest ones every year I replant so that they'll keep getting bigger and bigger every year when you harvest them. There are some small ones in here because, again, bunnies. So the bunnies made their home in a lot of my beds this year. So they were messing with the roots a lot and they needed replanted quite a bit. So you take what you can get. And so this year I had like a medium harvest with them, but I'll still be happy because that at the grocery store for organic shallots, if they even have them, is like 3 times more than onions. So I love having them, super easy to grow. And I hang this cattle panel in my garage for all of my drying things. I used to have it flat, like on concrete, like bricks or pavers, so that it would be lifted off the ground so the airflow. And then I was like, I should hang this because I need room in my garage. Can't have my whole garage be like drying stuff. So so anyway, I hung it up on the wall on some hooks, easy peasy, and that means that I actually can walk around in my garage without being walking into onions and stuff. So, but we have a whole bunch of stuff piled up over there because we're going to be building some new beds. And then also, excuse the mess, see those barrels? Oh yeah, we've got a rain barrel project coming up. Can't wait to do that with you guys. It's super hot. Let's be done in the garage today. There's heat warnings. It's super hot. I'm glowing. Let's be done. So yeah, we had a storm. Let's see what corn I can stand back up and which corn I can just kind of pick and salvage, and which one's gone for. That's what happens. Some years you get some years the wind takes it out. Well, that looks a little better. And not all the way up, but mostly. Okay, so it's as your standard pickup day. So smaller pickup, we got 25-pound
sack of organic all-purpose flour. We got some new food safe buckets for our flour and our sugar and that kind of stuff. We got a 25-pound bag of organic cane sugar. We got frozen organic cherries. We got some organic tomato paste in the glass jars. I like them in the glass jars because then if you only use half, you can reseal it. Plus, you know, glass jars versus metal jars, aluminum cans, that kind of stuff. We also got some organic sharp cheddar cheese and some organic mozzarella cheese. I usually shred those as soon as we get home and put them in freezer bags, and that way they're ready to go. And then I got some cherries, some Rainier, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I had these. They were out of Bing cherries, but they did have these organic ones, and they're supposed to be really sweet too. So we're going to be canning and processing these up as well. So quick little pickup, not a huge one, but just restocking on some essentials. All tucked in. You always want to take your bulk sugar, flour, that kind of stuff, anything you get in bulk. You always want to, and I do it even with the 5-pound bags in the grocery store, honestly. You always want to take them and put them in a freezer or deep freezer for at least 48 hours because bulk items may have little eggies or, you know, bugs in them. So this kills all of that and keeps them fresh. So I came out to harvest some eggplants. Evidently it's a pepper day too. Peppers! Got my roux apron, harvesting some peppers. So here's a look at today's 15 minutes of gardening haul. We have a couple ears of sweet corn that, since the stalk's bent over from the wind, I'm kind of harvesting as I see them. Shishitos, which I'm excited to get into. Some anchos, peppers, some jalapeno peppers. We've got some eggplants. One supposed to be red bell pepper, but it came off, so didn't finish ripening, so I can still taste good. Then we've got some tomatoes that were ripe or splitting, and some tomatillos. I wasn't expecting all this, so I'm excited. I am excited. Now time to process it. The inside of a Paul Robeson. Kind of purpley, smoky flavored. Yum. So a lot of people want to know how to process the tomatoes as they come in. If you don't have a big bunch and you just have like a little bit at a time. So what I do is I cut any bad spots or, you know, split spots or anything, or the stems or the thick parts off, and then pop them all in a freezer bag. And when I want to make salsa or sauce or anything like that, you just take out a bag and let it thaw in your sink, and all the skins will slip right off. And then you can dice them and use them like you normally would. Or you can just put the whole bag like that into a pot and let it simmer all day, and put it through one of those mesh strainer things to get all the seeds and skins off too, if that's what you like. Okay, let me just start off by saying that these starts over here don't look great. They don't look great because I started them, they were healthy and strong, and I put them out, I grew them outside, and I didn't cover them. And the cabbage moths kind of tried to make their house on them and lay babies. So I covered them with diatomaceous earth, which is an organic worm killer, basically. So what it does is anything with, well, not worm killer. So anything that crawls across it, it's like really, really sharp to them, and so it makes little cuts, and so they basically like dehydrate and stuff. So I put some diatomaceous earth, all the bugs are gone, it's been sprayed off, and now we're ready to plant. So I have purple cauliflower, regular cauliflower, broccoli, some cabbage, some green acre cabbage, or some green cabbage and some red cabbage, and
Yeah, and then I also have 4 echinacea plants because they were a really pretty variety that I hadn't had before, and I want to start adding them more around my property. So, 4 echinacea plants, and then I still have an extra Roma tomato start just in case one of mine died. But now I just have an extra one, so I'm sure Olivia will be taking that from me. So, all right, let's get planting. By the way, whenever I plant, my organic fertilizer of choice is Trifecta Plus, which you can get at MI Gardener. I feel like that's the best fertilizer around, right? So it's got slow release and fast release. It's got all the things you need plus. And MI Gardener is my go-to person to learn from when I want to get like all nerded out and learn all the scientific stuff. So migardener.com has Trifecta Plus, which is the fertilizer. So I have it in 15-pound bags in my garage. So I just put some in a little mason jar and I'll sprinkle it in each hole. The thing I love about this is you put it in and then maybe you have to do it one other time per season, but it's not like weekly or monthly or anything like that. Just once when you plant it and maybe once halfway through the season if it's a long growing crop. So let's get planting. Alright, let's see what we got. We have a cabbage, green cabbage, red cabbage, broccoli, red cabbage. You are a green cabbage, cauliflower, let's see, purple cauliflower, cabbage. Man, I liked cabbage today. Okay, so, and then my extra tomatoes. Let's get this out of here for placement. Okay, I actually have room in the other brassica bed that I might put these 2 broccolis, and I might make all of these cabbage and cauliflower. Alright, so cabbage, and then I can do cauliflower. Alright, let's harvest some of this kale for my chickens so it's out of the way. For you to see where I can plant. Okay, yes, that makes more sense. Sprinkle a little in the hole, please. Gonna wake up the roots a little bit because they've been in their pots way too long. Alright, that's a purple cauliflower. Actually do 2 cauliflowers, and normally I would break them apart and plant them. You know what, I might actually break them apart and plant them. No, I might, no, Got too much stuff. Got too many plants. Okay. Then, what do we have here? Cabbage. Again, I have 2 in here. So I'm going to maybe decapitate one. And cabbage and cauliflower you can kind of, or cabbage and broccoli either, you can kind of plant close together because the cauliflower will grow up a little taller and the cabbage will kind of stay a little lower. So again, they'll shade out the weeds a little bit and hold hands. So you can get a lot of stuff grown in a smaller space. Let me think about how I want to place the rest. Okay. Let's do, that was a cabbage. You know what? I might take one of these cabbages and put it in the other bed with the broccoli. That's what I'll do. Okay, what do we have here? Another cauliflower. That guy's gonna go there. Cabbage, cabbage. Okay. Sorry if you hear the lawnmowers going. It has been super hot this week. So everyone's excited to be able to mow, finally. Alright, cabbage. Cabbage. Decapitated cabbage. Oh, the chickens will love those. Let me go to the other side.
You'll notice when I'm planting the broccoli, cauliflower, that kind of stuff, cabbages, I tend to press down really, really hard around the plants. I don't usually do that with other plants, and that's because you don't, broccolis, cauliflowers, cabbages, they like it. They like it when you press it down and give them a really firm start. That way they don't get like club root or any of that kind of stuff. So you definitely want to press down with those, maybe not others, but with those three you do.
And we'll see what grows. So I just had 2 little starts left over, so I went ahead and put them in the corner of this bed, and they'll grow really nicely there, hopefully. Okay guys, so you probably hear the mowers. All the neighbors have decided it's time to mow, so I'm gonna feed these chickens. Thanks so much for being with us this week. I can't wait to see you next time. I hope you guys have a great week. Bye. Tell me what you're doing.
I'm planting marigolds.
Did you grow those all in a pot?
Yes, in that orange pot right up there.
And now you're separating them?
Yeah.
Since I emptied out my tray?
Yeah.
You're gonna grow them big and strong and plant them all over the yard?
Yeah. I'm probably going to plant them next to our orchard in the back fence over there.
Oh, perfect. That'll keep the bunnies out. Great job, kiddo.
Thank you.